Milestone Advisory Partners. Personalized financial planning customized to your lifestyle. Milestone Advisory Partners, bringing success to your life's journey. Visit our website, milestoneadvisorypartners.com. Milestone Advisory Partners.
All right, gang, welcome back. Grilling with Chef Clay. Today we're going North Carolina on you. We're gonna do up some amazing stuff. I'm gonna do a smoked pulled pork butt for you. We're gonna take that thing, smoke it down, make it nice and delicious. We're gonna make some pickles, easy, quick pickles to go along with that pork butt. We're gonna make a beautiful Carolina style, nice creamy mayonnaise slaw to go with this. We're gonna make up a couple sandwiches, serve those to you, do something really good. Nice flavor in your mouth. While I'm here, I wanna give a shout out to one of my sponsors. These are my hair ties. I've got some long hair, need some hair ties. So these are my guys, thelonghairs.us. Best hair ties I've ever used. Great people, groovy guys, appreciate you. And I also want to give a shout out to another one of my sponsors, Milestone Advisory Partners from Southern Pines, North Carolina. Great people, love them to death. Thank you for all your support. And so today we're just going to go ahead and get started. First things first, we're going to get rolling. We're going to get this pork butt out. We're going to get seasoned up and we're going to get that sucker popped on the grill. We're going to make some slaw. We're going to make some pickles. We're going to put it all together. Stay tuned. So what we're going to start off with today, we are going to be doing something that I'm known for throughout North Carolina, basically North Carolina style barbecue. Today we're going to be using a pork butt. I usually use whole hog cooking. That's just on the east coast of North Carolina, we do whole hogs. When you get to the Chapel Hill line, which is usually right about the center line of North Carolina, you start moving from whole hogs to pork butts. The sauces change a little bit, the flavors change just a little bit, not too dramatic. So basically what we're gonna do here is, I'm gonna show you how I like to do pork butts for competitions, for catering jobs, all kinds of different things. So we're gonna prep this thing down, show you how I get it, and then we're gonna put this in the smoker, smoke it down, and we'll visit everything back when we get it all done. So first things first, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna clean this pork butt up. And if I was doing competitions, I would do it one way. If I'm doing catering jobs, I'm gonna do it a completely different way. I'm gonna prep this as if I'm doing a catering job. The prep for competitions, a little more involved, and basically we're trying to isolate certain parts of the pork butt for competitions. But for this right here, I'm just gonna prep this like I normally do a catering job. And this is something that you can do at home. And this is just a 8-pound pork butt that you find in your grocery store, just about anywhere. They're anywhere $1.29, $1.80 a pound, something like that. All depends on what week it is. So we've got a large fat cap here, and I'll turn this around to where you can really get a look. Big heavy fat cap here that we're gonna remove. And normally on a lot of my shows, you'll hear me say fat is flavor. This right here, way too much fat. So we're just gonna remove a lot of this. And this is a little time consuming. As I'm taking off this fat cap, I don't want to get rid of this. Like I said, fat is flavor. I'm gonna take this fat and I'm gonna render it down and make homemade lard. And I'll use that to make biscuits, I'll use it to fry things, I'll use it for all kinds of stuff. So don't get rid of that fat. We're just gonna get it off this pork butt so we can smoke it. And the main reason I'm removing a lot of this is so I can get flavor down to the meat. I wouldn't get any flavor on this meat. As we're smoking this, we're trying to produce a bark. A lot of people will call that a crust. In the barbecue world, we call this a bark. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna put a sauce on here, then we're gonna put a rub on here, and that's gonna help us create that bark. And if I don't get rid of this big heavy fat cap, I'm not gonna get that flavor in here. Because when I pull this apart, I'm not gonna shred up any of this fat. So we're gonna get it all off so we can get that flavor down to the meat. And if I was doing this for a competition, I would be doing much finer cuts, paying attention to certain things. Like in competitions, there's a muscle that we're looking for to isolate, and I'm working on that right here. This is our money muscle. This is what we use in competitions. This is something that we isolate. I would actually come here, cut down through here, open that money muscle up. Then I can get flavor on about 3/4 of that money muscle. And we're just not going to do that for a catering job, but for competitions, I would be a lot more focused here. And then on the other side, on the horn side, I would cut through here, open that up a lot more around the bone. We're just not, for home cooking, for you to follow along as a recipe, we're just going to clean it up. Get as much fat off as we can. Get a little bit more there. And I'm going to leave some fat in there. I want some of that fat to render down into the meat itself, get into some of those muscle fibers, give us some more flavor as that butt is cooking. I'm going to turn it over, just take a look. There's not too much fat on the other side. There may be a little sinew here. I'll remove some of that. You just don't want that. We're done here. I'm going to take these. Like I said, I'm not going to get rid of that. We're going to hold on to that. Set that aside for now. So basically we have our 8-pound pork butt, nice cleaned up. Got a lot more meat exposed. That's what I'm looking for. And now I'm going to basically put a binder onto this butt. You use what you want to. I know some chefs and some competition guys out there, they'll just use olive oil, rub this down. I have a certain mixture that I like to use. I've got some mustard here, and I've got an orange flavored steak sauce. Y'all know the one out there. It's got the orange lid and all that good stuff. And I just do this basically anywhere I can add flavor, I'll add flavor. Okay, and I'm just gonna smooth this around, rub this in a little bit. Make sure everything's covered on all sides. And you just want to get good coverage, and anywhere that you can pull the muscles apart a little bit, go ahead and do that. Make sure you get lots of good coverage of this binding agent, just mustard and that steak sauce. Now, once I'm here, this is my competition rub. I'll give you all kinds of recipes. This one I'm just gonna keep, we're gonna keep this one to myself, if you don't mind. I will tell you kind of what's inside. I've got lots of different spices. I've got red pepper flakes. I've got garlic powder, mustard powder, tomato powder, paprika, lots of brown sugar. Brown sugar is one of the things that's really gonna give us this bark. We'll keep the ratio. You figure out your rub. Make your rub. That's part of cooking. I'm not gonna sit here and take somebody else's recipe and use it. I'm gonna make, I might follow a recipe as a guideline, but I'm not gonna take somebody else's recipe and just walk with that. Come up with your own, what works for you, what you think tastes great. And again, like I said, we're just gonna prep this thing up, and then we're gonna pop it on the smoker. Once I get it all prepped, and don't think that I'm gonna do just one flavor, one-sided. We're gonna flip this puppy over. We're gonna get the other side now. Do the same thing on this side. Just lots and lots of nice spice rub. A lot of this rub's gonna fall off as we transfer it into the smoker. No big deal. Trust me, if you get enough on there, get it all into that binder, it'll hold it on there. And notice I'm using quite a bit. This is a quart-sized container. I've gone through a good half of that at least. Our pork butt, nice and seasoned. We've got the binder on here. I've now got the rub on there. I've got the binder on me. We'll just get rid of that. It's all good. We've got our pork butt nice and covered. We've got the binder on here. We've got our rub on here. Basically from here, I'm gonna take this to the smoker, and it depends on your smoker. It depends on your method, the way you use. Do you have an electric smoker? Do you have a water smoker like I do? I've actually got several different smokers. I'm fortunate enough to work with Weber grills, and they do a lot of things for us in the North Carolina Barbecue Society. So they give us lots of grills to use and try out. I have my preferred smoker that I use. You use your smoker. Electric, propane. Maybe you just have a grill that you can set up indirect and put your charcoal on one side, put your pork butt on the other side, put some nice smoking chips in there, whatever you prefer to use. I'm a charcoal wood guy, so I'm gonna make my own charcoal out of whole logs. I'm actually gonna take my whole logs, cook them down to where they're charcoal embers now, and I will feed that into my smoker. But again, use the smoker that you have, or you can even do this in an oven. Take it, put the whole pork butt, just as you see here, into the oven, and you can add smoke by taking aluminum foil, putting wood chips into that aluminum foil, cover them with a little bit of water, poke some holes in the top, cover it up, throw it in the oven, and put it right near the burner in your oven, and it'll actually create smoke in your oven. Just remember, those ovens aren't airtight, so you're gonna fill your house up with a little bit of smoke smell, but that's fine with me. Real men smell like barbecue, so it's all good. I run my smoker at about 225 to 250. That's as hot as I wanna get. I'm not looking to bake this. I'm looking to go low and slow. You'll hear that a lot from competition barbecue guys. We go low and slow, or some guys prefer to go hot and fast. And I'm gonna have probes in this so I can monitor my temperature as the cook progresses. So I'll sit here, watch this, crack open a cold beer, maybe light a cigar. This thing's gonna be doing its thing on the smoker. I'm gonna be doing my thing watching the smoker. And I'm gonna set this, let it go, and I will probably check it when my temperature reaches about 165 internally. There's something that happens when you're doing whole meats like this. The meat is going to stall, and that's a big term that we use a lot when we're doing big whole muscles like this. The meat's gonna stall. What happens is the meat is going to start sweating out juices. And think of your body as you're working out in the yard or working out in the gym, whatever, you start to sweat. That's your body trying to cool itself down. That's what's gonna happen when you're doing a whole big muscle like this. It's going to start sweating and cooling down. And the meat will sit there at 165 for hours, if it could be. You can do something to speed that process up to get you, we call it pushing through the stall. You can take the pork butt, pull it off the grill, wrap it in, I use butcher's paper. Peach butcher's paper is what I prefer to use. Some guys use tinfoil. The butcher's paper will actually breathe and allow it to sweat a little bit, but still hold the meat and keep the juices in, so it'll kind of steam a little bit. The reason I don't like to do that is because it's gonna soften my bark up. I want that kind of crunchy bark mixed in with the pulled pork. So I prefer not to wrap them and push them through the stall. We also call it a Texas crutch. You'll hear that sometimes. So I will leave mine unwrapped and just let it naturally push through the stall. And once you get through the stall, you'll see your temperature start to climb again. Usually it'll creep from 165 to about 180 internal temperature. Once you hit 180, it starts to speed back up and we'll start cooking again. And my final temperature that I'm looking for, I'm gonna push this to about 200 to 203 degrees. If you don't go to 200, the meat can still be kind of tough. It's gonna be hard to pull apart. It's not gonna be as tender. Won't make that great of a sandwich or a pulled pork plate. It'll be a little tougher chew. So I always go to 200 to 203. 203 is my sweet spot. Some guys go to 205. I like 203. So I've done enough talking. Let's get to cooking. We've got this thing rubbed up, ready to rock. We're gonna pop this in the smoker and we will revisit this thing in several hours and we'll show you the final process. We'll get this thing pulled apart. We'll show you some beautiful, beautiful pulled pork. We'll be back. So we just got a pork butt done, got it all rubbed up. We have popped that in the smoker. We're letting it do its thing over here out in the yard. It's just rolling smoke, making everybody all excited in the neighborhood. So now what we're gonna do is we're going to get a couple sauces going. Like I said, I'm a chef out of North Carolina. One of my passions in life is North Carolina style barbecue. Trust me on this, all barbecue can be traced back to North Carolina. I promise you, do your history math, I'm telling you. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a couple of sauces for you. I'm gonna show you an easy, simple Eastern style sauce just using apple cider vinegar. And then we're just gonna add a couple of items, little crushed red pepper flakes. I like to add just a little ginger ale, Sprite, 7-Up, whatever you like, or you can just omit this part. This is not traditional classic. This is just something I do myself. Like I said, I do a lot of competitions and I do a lot of catering. I do a lot of stuff, and this is just the recipe I like to use. So all we're gonna basically do is I've got apple cider vinegar, a whole quart in this saucepan. Then to this, all I'm gonna do is just add some salt. And my salt looks a little funny. This is my salt mix that I like to do. I don't like to use just plain old salt. I like to see some salt and add some different things. And to this, I've got some sriracha salt that I made. I smoked some salt with some hickory smoke. I've got some Hawaiian black kai salt that you see. That's the black salt in there. And they actually get that salt from caves in Hawaii. And it's basically picking up the lava that from the volcanoes as it cools, and you get this nice black salt. I love this stuff. So that's just my salt blend. Just wanted to explain why you're like, oh, what's in his salt? It's good stuff, it's all salt. So I get a little pinch of salt in there. I'm gonna add a little bit of black pepper. And when I say a little bit, I mean, about that much. That's probably a good tablespoon. I'm a traditionalist. I'm just gonna use straight old crushed red pepper. That's all I'm gonna do. So I've got some just regular crushed red pepper flakes here. Doesn't matter what brand, doesn't matter really what kind of pepper. These are probably most likely cayenne, if I had to guess. So just a good crushed red pepper. And I've probably got a good 2 tablespoons here. Let's go maybe 3. So I'm just gonna add that in there. So we'll just set that aside. Now, again, this is just a Chef Clay thing. I like to add some ginger ale, and I'll probably use, let's see, what is this, 7.5 ounces. I'll probably go ahead and use 3/4 of that, so a good 5-6 ounces. And the rest I'm gonna set aside because I'm gonna sip on that later. I'm not gonna let that go to waste. Now from here, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna walk it over here to the stovetop. We're gonna put some heat to it. And what I'm gonna do is let this thing simmer. Probably take 10 minutes or so, and we'll let this simmer down, and you'll know when the sauce is complete and ready to go. All the crushed red pepper flakes will have fallen from the top and gone into the vinegar. And that'll let you know, hey, the sauce is done. And again, that's the simple Eastern North Carolina sauce. This is what I use for whole hog barbecue. Sometimes I'll baste the whole hog while it's cooking. Usually I'll just leave the sauce. I'll put them in squirt bottles and serve it with the hog, so people, as they come through the line, I'll give them some nice hog or pork butt, and they can take a little bit of that sauce, squirt it on top of the pork. But we'll get back to that once I have that pork butt done. We'll show you all about that. So we're just gonna take this, walk this over to the stove here, set it down, and we're just gonna get some good high heat to it. And I'm gonna dial this back to probably a good medium high heat. And we're just gonna let that sit there and chill, do its thing. While that is going, what we're gonna work on next is, I like to have just, of course, I'm gonna have this vinegar sauce with this pulled pork. We're also gonna make some nice Southern style slaw for you. But I like to do a quick pickle as well. So all I'm gonna do, these are just easy little quick dill pickles. I'm just gonna go back to my apple cider vinegar here. So about a 1/2 quart, 1 pint. Set that aside, don't need that anymore. So I've got some dried spices here that we're gonna pull out. And basically all I'm just gonna use some dill weed, a little bit of dill seed, some salt, pepper, and a little bit of pickle mix. Just got some ground, or some whole coriander seeds, whole mustard seeds. There's some allspice in here, clove or 2. So we'll get a good tablespoon of that pickling mix, drop that straight in. We'll probably get a good pinch of some just dried dill weed, maybe let's say a good teaspoon of that dried dill weed. Then we're gonna add a little dill seed in there as well. We're just trying to get some of that good dill flavor. So probably 1/2 tablespoon, which is 1.5 teaspoons. Dump that in. And we're done with these. It's not about saltiness, it's about enhancing flavors. That's all salt really does. So I'm gonna take just a good pinch of salt, add this to that, and that's just gonna brighten everything up, make all the flavors pop. That's all salt does. So get your salt into your food early as you're cooking. That way the people, when you serve food to people, they don't have to pull salt out, because now they're putting straight salt on the food. That's where you get bad salt. Good salt cooking, bad salt at the table. So get your salt in there. Good pinch of black pepper. And all I'm gonna do is pop this over here on the stove, and I'm just gonna heat this up. So when we take the pickles, we're gonna cut up some cucumber. When we add the mixture to the cucumbers, it's really just gonna absorb everything in. So we're just gonna pop this over here on the burner. Let it hang out with our sauce that we've got going right here. Just let those simmer away. And again, all I'm doing is looking for those spices in that vinegar mix to fall down. And once they fall down, I know that they're done. And I'll tell you what, all we've got in there is just sour, sour, sour. Let's sweeten that pickle mix up. Throw a little honey in there. And I'll just add a little bit of sweet. And I just think the sweetness with the dill and everything, it really works. It just kind of makes everything sing the same song. So all we're gonna do is just take some cucumbers here. And if you have a mandolin at home, cut this on a mandolin, get a nice thin setting. We don't want these really thick, because all we're gonna do is pop these into that vinegar, let them sit there for a few minutes, get some flavor, and we're just making a quick pickle. We're not canning these, we're not jarring these. These aren't gonna sit on the shelf for 6 months, anything like that. So if you got a mandolin, run that. Just watch out for them fingertips, use your little blade guard. So instead, I've just got a super sharp knife. These are some of my knives. My buddies make razor knives. They make these beautiful knives, beautiful steel, nice ebony or epoxy handle, great balance to these knives. I love these things, and razor sharp. So we're gonna take these, and all I'm gonna do is just use my finger as a guide. So we'll just keep right on slicing. How many people are you cooking for? How many pickles you want? You can make these, set them aside. Once you have them made, serve what you want. Then you can just keep on snacking on these, pull them out. They'll last for about 2 weeks in the refrigerator. We'll just keep right on slicing here. And again, I'm just looking for, 1/8 of an inch, maybe a little thicker, maybe a little thinner. There's probably a few different. See, we got some nice thin ones in here. I wouldn't go any thicker than that, 1/8 of an inch. It's not gonna have time to soak up the liquid. Now, if you leave them in the refrigerator, yeah, they'll over time soak up some more. I like these just for the quick pickles. They've got great flavor. They're nice and dense. They really take on the flavor. So we'll just set that guy aside. We're gonna put these right here, and we'll come over and grab a nice mixing bowl, and we'll just lay these down in here. So all we just got our bowl full of our cucumbers, and I'm gonna go ahead and hit these with just a pinch of salt. And what that's gonna do is just kind of wake these up, start drawing some water out of these, wake them up, break them down a little bit. So when we add this pickling mix to that, it's gonna just kind of make it a little easier for that liquid to absorb into these. And I'll just give them a quick little toss. Okay, so back here I've got the pickling mix going. And I'm just looking to get this nice and hot, so when I pour it over those cucumbers, the heat and the sauce really soaks into those cucumbers. And basically, I'm looking for that hot right there. Don't try that at home if you don't have chef fingers. My fingers are so burnt, I didn't feel that, but I can tell there was heat there. So we're just gonna pour this right over our cucumbers. And we'll just give this a quick little stir. And that's pretty much our pickles that we're gonna make to serve alongside or even on top of this barbecue sandwich I'm gonna build for you in a little bit. Once we get that smoked pork butt going, get it broken out. Okay, so that's it. Quick pickles, okay? Some people call these refrigerator pickles. I call them quick pickles. We do these a lot in restaurants just to make some easy, fresh pickles each day. I've got a new batch each day. If, this goes great with, maybe you like a fried chicken sandwich, which is, the world's crazy about fried chicken sandwiches right now. This is a great pickle to go on a fried chicken sandwich, perfect. So we've got these made. All we're gonna do is just set these aside, and we're gonna let those just sit, come to room temperature. Once they get to room temperature, you can pop in the refrigerator. And like I said, those will last a good 2 weeks, no sweat. So next, we're gonna move on. And North Carolina, Barbecue sandwich is not a barbecue sandwich without some good coleslaw. So I've got some shredded cabbage here that we're gonna use as the base of our coleslaw. I've got some red cabbage, green cabbage, we got some carrot in here. I know some chefs out there that like to put onions and scallions and all kinds of stuff in their slaw. I'm just a North Carolina traditionalist. I'm a simple guy. If I'm doing stuff that people request that, sure, I'll do it. But for this, I'm just gonna I'll probably use, let's say, probably half of this. So that's probably a good 3 cups or so. And go through this, make sure that it's all nice and cut up and shredded. We don't want any big chunks like this or anything like that in there. So we're just gonna kind of sift through it, make sure everything looks nice and uniform. Maybe that long dude and that long dude will set out. Okay, so from here, all we're gonna do, just simple mayonnaise. This is easy. You can buy coleslaw mixes out there if you want. There's plenty. Why buy something when you can make it with just a couple of ingredients? So all I'm gonna do is add to this mayonnaise and some kind of acid. You can use lemons, you can use limes. I'm just gonna use some of this apple cider vinegar that we've been using, and that's all I'm gonna do to make this a good tasting coleslaw. You just want a balance of the mayonnaise that we've got in here. So I'm just gonna slowly add this apple cider vinegar in here. And what I'm gonna do is, and this is something you'll see in all my shows, I tell you, taste your food. Taste, taste, taste as you're moving along. If I add too much apple cider vinegar in here and it's way too acidic, there's only one way to fix that. I now have to add a lot more cabbage, more mayonnaise. I'm starting to use more product. Add things slowly. Don't add it all at once. Once you add it in there, you can't take it out. So if you add it slowly, you can keep adding until you get it to where you want it. Then now you're cooking. So we're gonna add a little salt to this. For this, let's see, we'll use some fresh black pepper. Okay. This is just me now. I like a little heat, so I'm gonna throw a little crushed red pepper in there, just a little bit. You're not gonna taste it really, but it's there. It's in the background. You might be able to feel it. So we're gonna mix this up. And I can already tell by the smell I don't have enough vinegar. I want to kind of smell that vinegar a little bit, so I'm gonna add another capful in here. I'm gonna add just a little bit of sweet to this to kind of balance that acidic taste that we have. So I'm gonna add a little bit of honey. You can use sugar, most people use sugar. I'm not a big fan of sugar. Anywhere I can use anything natural. Now I'll use sugars, but I'm gonna use natural cane sugar, turbinado sugar, any other type sugar that hasn't been processed down to a processed white sugar. That's just me. You use what you want to use. Okay, so I've got this slaw mixed up. We're going to taste it, see where we're at flavor-wise. Now again, cumin, coriander, turmeric, all different types of things that you want to add in here. Add what you want, make it your own. It depends on what you're cooking. I make a slaw like this sometimes for tacos. I'll add cumin, I'll add cayenne, paprika, all kinds of stuff to that slaw because it makes sense with those tacos. Right here, I'm just looking for a good southern slaw that's gonna go great with our barbecue sandwiches. So I'm just gonna taste. Yes, that's right where I want that, right there. No further. That's our slaw mixed up. We'll go ahead and get all this stuff cleaned up. Here in just a bit, when I go to make these sandwiches, I'm gonna add some poppy seed to this slaw. I don't wanna add it in right now because I don't want those poppy seeds to get all soggy. I want those poppy seeds to be nice, bright, and fresh when we mix the slaw together and build these sandwiches. So that right there, that's our coleslaw that we're gonna use on our sandwiches coming up. We've got our sauce back here, simmering away, doing its thing. The seeds are starting to fall down to the bottom. Everything's working just like we want it to. I'm gonna go ahead and kill the heat. Don't need any more heat on that. That's gonna sit back there, simmer, get ready to rock and roll. We've got our pickles done. We've got our coleslaw rocking and rolling. Now we're just waiting on that pork butt. As soon as we get it done, we'll put all this thing together, serve you some great sandwiches. Hours later, we come back and look what we've got here. You saw the pork butt that we did, nice and rubbed up. This right here is our finished product. Okay, we've got nice bark all the way across this pork butt. That's what we're looking for when the pork butt's done. If you don't have a nice, even, crusty bark like this, then you've missed a step, something's gone a little awry. Maybe it hasn't finished cooking. Maybe you didn't quite get enough rub on there. Maybe your temperatures weren't right. But this right here, in competitions and for catering jobs, this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that bone to be pulling away here and away from here. That lets me know that this meat has shrunk down some. It's gotten nice and flavorful. There's all kinds of goodness happening here. This is probably still pretty hot, straight out of the smoker. It's been resting a little bit, but I don't want to get my hands burned. And this just protects our hands, because that's some hot stuff. I mean, think 225, 250. We've got some heat still kicking in there. So I'm just gonna put these cotton gloves on, and that protects me from the heat. And then I'm just gonna cover them with rubber or nitrile gloves so they don't get all goofy and nasty and they'll never wash out, because you can rewash those. So I'm just gonna pull my pork butt out here. We're gonna do this gently, because this thing, I mean, it's ready to just fall apart, and it's probably gonna fall apart as I pull it out of this pan. There we go. And we had a little piece fall off here. We'll get that in there. All right, so as you can see, a little bit of oils, came out. And I might save this. There might be a need for this, especially maybe you overcooked your pork butt a little bit. Save that just to add back in as you're shredding this. So we'll just set that aside for now, see if we need it. I don't think we are. When you're cooking whole meats like this, if it's got a bone in it, there's one way to tell if you've done your job properly, okay? If I grab that bone and that bone just peels out like that, nice and clean, no meat stuck to that bone, that right there is a perfect smoked pork butt. That bone will let you know everything. And it's funny, in competitions, we'll all walk around with our bone in our hand and compare our bones to each other. That sounds really weird, but we do that. So, all right, so now we've got this beautiful pork butt that we have smoked. And I mean, you can see how this thing is just literally falling apart in my hands, but it is not mushy. You can still see some steam rolling off of it. This is what you want. This is a perfect pulled pork butt done just right. And I'm just gonna come in, remove any of that fat that we left inside the meat. It has rendered out into the meat. You can see the meat's nice and shiny. I mean, just beautiful pulled pork. And even your bigger muscles like this just fall apart in your hands. And you can still feel the texture that lets you know that this is not overdone. It's not gonna be mushy. I'm not gonna have to do that tongue to the roof of my mouth test. I can feel. All right, so again, I'm just coming in, cleaning up any of that fat. You can see my gloves are getting all shiny from the juices from this. That's another good signature. Hey, I've done this right. So just keep cleaning all that fat up. We don't want any of that in your mouth. And again, I'm just gonna mix this bark in as I'm shredding this. I want that bark mixed in from time to time. When I do whole hog, I do something a little different. Here's one of the tubes that runs through. We call this pork spaghetti because it kind of shred apart like long spaghetti strands. But when I'm doing whole hog, I'm gonna create cracklings from the skin of the hog. And there's some people that do this, some people that don't in North Carolina, but we'll take that pork crackling skin and we'll mix it in with the shredded pork. But when you're doing pork butts, basically you're getting this bark. And that's what's gonna give you some really good texture to mix in. You've got the nice soft middle of the pork that's just falling apart, beautiful. Oh, look at the steam coming off of there. And then we'll shred up some of this nice bark to add in there, give it a different texture, a whole different dimension, adds more flavor, because remember, that's where our rub was on that outside. The inside didn't get any of that rub, so we want to really get this mixed up in here. All right, so I'm just gonna continue to work this. There's a trick you can use if you don't wanna do it by hand. Like I said, you can get some of those little goofy little tools, little Wolverine looking, you know, it's something you grasp in your handles and it's got some teeth that come out and you use it and shred the pork. I think that's kind of gimmicky, but hey, if that's what you wanna use it. If it works for you, go ahead. Me, I do this. There's another trick. You can just take big hunks of the whole pork butt, pull it apart, drop it in your KitchenAid stand mixer and put your paddle bit on there and just let that go on slow and it'll shred it up in no time. I mean, in seconds, you'll have it shredded up. Just another little trick that we use, or they use. I don't use that one. Like I said, I'm an on-hands guy. I wanna feel my food. I wanna go through it, make sure I got all that fat. There's no, you know, big fat chunks mixed up in here. Now I know some restaurants, some chefs, some pit masters, they'll come out with double cleavers and chop this all up nice and fine. I don't want it that fine. I'm just gonna shred it up. It's about as far as you see right here. That's how I like to serve mine. Sometimes I won't even go this far, but for the sandwiches that we're gonna make, this is what I want. So we're gonna take this, I'm gonna transfer it back into another one of my little aluminum hotel pans here. And as you can see, that one butt produces quite a bit of meat, okay? So this hotel pan right here, I've fed 20, 30 people with that. We're just gonna let that continue to chill, rest a little bit. We want it to cool off. We're gonna make sandwiches out of these, so we don't want them smoking hot because we're gonna add that nice slaw that we made. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna take off these gloves. Don't need those anymore. Don't need the cotton ones. And what we're gonna do now is we're gonna revisit these sauces that we started. Now, I've made one sauce. I'm gonna make two out of that one, okay? So we're gonna come over here. We're gonna grab this sauce. And as you can see, most of these peppers have just softened up, fallen to the bottom of the pan. That's exactly what I'm looking for when I make these sauces. We're gonna grab crooked spoon, love that spoon. We're just gonna give this a quick little stir. And what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna taste this. I wanna make sure, again, taste. Taste your food as you progress. Make sure everything's right. That way you don't have to send food out that's nice and bland. That's right where I want that. I can taste the salt. I can taste the pepper. I can taste the crushed red pepper in there. Maybe the average person can't. I can taste the ginger ale that's in there. Again, use Sprite, use whatever you wanna do. So all we're gonna do is take this right here, we're gonna split this into two different sauces. And all I'm gonna do, this right here is the traditional Eastern North Carolina vinegar-based sauce. All I'm gonna do is now I'm gonna turn this into what we call the Lexington dip. Lexington is a city in North Carolina that's known for pulled pork butts and the Lexington dip. And all it really essentially is this vinegar sauce with brown sugar, ketchup added to it to sweeten it up. I just want to take this and walk away and leave everybody just with nothing to eat. But that's what I do, pulled pork, beautiful stuff. So now we're gonna build this and we're gonna make some nice sandwiches out of this. Like I said, I've got some poppy seed I wanna add to my slaw, so I'm gonna add this right here at the end. So, cause I want to feel those poppy seeds. I want to feel the crunch. I want some texture there. If I added them when I first made this, they would just get all mushy and lost in the translation. So I'm just gonna add these in here and mix those up real good. Nice. We've got our coleslaw. We've got our sauce here. Now, like I said, this is sauce one. This is the Eastern style vinegar sauce. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna jar some of this up. And I wanna stir this constantly while I'm mixing this or pouring this. And I'm gonna come in and see if I can't scoop some more of those red peppers in there. And that's the flavor's already in there. I just want this visually as I'm using the sauce. Okay, so that's your Eastern style vinegar sauce. Simple vinegar, pepper, crushed red pepper. Put that little bit of ginger ale in there. A little salt, bang, done. That's all it is. So we'll come over here and we'll start sauce number 2 from the same base. Okay, we got some goodness. I'm gonna add some more of the crushed red pepper over there. There we go. So we've pretty much got 2 identical sauces here. Actually, that's exactly what we've got. But we're gonna mix them up. A little bit of brown sugar. So to sauce 1, done. Okay, sauce number 2, I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna add 1, let's do 2, let's say 2.5 tablespoons. And to that, I'm just gonna add some ketchup. I don't care what brand you use, I don't care. Just as long as it's good tomato ketchup. I make ketchups. I wouldn't use like my apple ketchup in this. I'm just gonna use a good tomato base. Most ketchups have tomato paste. They've got all kinds of different sweeteners and stuff in there. A lot of them use, simple sugars or whatever. That right there, that's all I need. And so I've got my brown sugar. I'm gonna add a little bit more. I just feel like it needs it. So, and I'm just gonna give this a nice stir, get that ketchup mixed in. And I'm probably done with the brown sugar. We'll set that aside. I just wanna get this nice and blended. What do you think I'm getting ready to do? I'm gonna taste it, all right? I wanna make sure, is my flavor where I want it? Oh man, bang, that's it. That's exactly where I want that. Beautiful, sweetened up. Got the ketchup, got the brown sugar, the molasses from the brown sugar and the molasses in that ketchup are really starting to wake everything up. It's gorgeous. So we've got our 2 sauces here. We've got our coleslaw here. We've got our quick pickles that we did right here. Got that beautiful pulled pork. Let's grab a plate. Okay, now we've got some nice sesame buns. You can use plain buns. You can use whatever you want to do. Little slider Hawaiian rolls, why not? I've done it. You can do it too. Okay, so we're just gonna set our 2 buns here. Then all I'm gonna do, grab me a nice pair of tongs. And this is North Carolina style. You do it the way you want to do it. This is how we do it. If you like a thicker sauce, by all means, make whatever sauce you want. If you want a big, thick, tomatoey sauce like they use in Kansas City, have at it. Do it. This is North Carolina style. That's what I'm showing you. That's what we're gonna make up here. And pop that bun right on top. And that right there is pulled pork sandwich with coleslaw, Chef Clay's way. All right. So we had some great fun in the kitchen today. We made a beautiful pulled pork sandwich done from a smoked pork butt. It's easy to do. Go out there, try it. If you've got a smoker, if you've got an oven, it's not that hard. It's a beautiful thing. Make some slaw to go with it that we did. We did a beautiful Carolina mayonnaise slaw. Tastes great. Put them all together. We did that quick pickle. All that combined, that's just beautiful 4th of July, summer. Go out there, have some fun, fire up your smoker, grab a cold beer, have a good time. Folks, we appreciate you being here with us. Make sure you come back, check us out from time to time. You're grilling with Chef Clay.
Milestone Advisory Partners. Personalized financial planning customized to your lifestyle. Milestone Advisory Partners, bringing success to your life's journey. Visit our website, milestoneadvisorypartners.com. Milestone Advisory Partners,